Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 5 Things Learned. After Manchester City's 2-0 victory away at Borussia Monchengladbach. It was good, it was fun, and today I'm going to take a closer look at this game. But before I do that, I want to take a closer look at One Football. One Football repping the jumper once again is absolutely awesome. Genuinely, lads, it's fantastic. It's as beautiful as Bernardo Silva. It's as dynamic as Cancelo. It's absolutely mesmeric. Go and download it right now in the link in the description and get all your Manchester City news, all your Manchester City stats, all your Manchester City updates, and don't miss out on anything from the world of football in general. Download One Football right now. You can scroll it like I've been doing on the side of the screen next to me and indulge yourself in all the football stuff that you want to know about. Go and download it right now. It costs absolutely nothing, and over 10 million people have downloaded it, and it helps support my channel as well. So do me a massive favour, do yourself a massive favour, and download One Football. What are you waiting for? Just do it. Go and do it right now. I also want to say thank you as well to my latest Patreon, Luke Hiscock. Big shout out to Luke, man. What an absolute legend. He will be getting sent an Esteemed Kompany mug in the post. So I hope you like my face when you're drinking your brew, Luke. Fingers crossed you enjoy it. Big shout out as well to my Patreon producer, Ahmed Al Ali, an absolute legend in the highest tier there. We get a shout out constantly on these videos. You're all absolutely awesome. Thank you for supporting the channel. Patreon.com/Esteemed Kompany or YouTube.com/Esteemed Kompany/join to become a member. If you don't want to get involved that way, just liking and subscribing is all I can ask. Big love to every single one of you. Let's get into today's video then. I'm going to start initially with the king. The king has returned. Yep, Sergio Aguero made an appearance yesterday off the bench. Now, I know very little happened, and I know in the context of things, it wasn't the biggest news and all that kind of stuff, and there was loads more pressy and talking points from that game, but the king has returned, man. It's Sergio goddamn Aguero, and you're absolutely lying if you didn't feel a tinge of excitement and emotion when Sergio stepped onto the pitch yesterday. I was like, unbelievable. Sergio's back, and I didn't expect it. I honestly did not expect him to be playing yesterday, and that's what made it so exciting, so special and so wonderful. We all absolutely love Sergio. We all want him to find that fitness, that form, that sharpness again, because we know just how good he can be when he's in that moment, when he's in that spell. And I guess as well when we're wasting chances, and we did waste some chances as well yesterday. And we're seeing someone like Aguero come off the bench. Well, the best thing about it is, for me, he looks like he had a point to prove. You can really see that Aguero knows that his time at Manchester City could be up. And I don't think he wants to leave. And I think he pretty much said he doesn't want to leave as well. And I believe that's actually true. And that's good. Maybe it does mean that he comes onto the pitch and he gives it his absolute all to make an impression. There's one lovely little flick as well that led to a decent little move for City. Overall, he didn't have really a chance to get involved in as such. But it was good just to see him back out there. And to be honest, towards the end of the season, given the Carabao Cup final, the FA Cup run, the Champions League, and towards maybe another Premier League title, Sergio's presence could be so useful. Fingers crossed, this is the start of an emotional and brilliant comeback for Aguero, because we've barely seen him. And I've been worried that injuries might have robbed him his final swan song at Manchester City. But hopefully this new muscular hench version of Aguero, and genuinely he's stacked, by the way, really stacked. Hopefully this version of Aguero is going to bag a few goals. It'll be lovely to see him at the weekend, maybe against West Ham. Come on, Sergio. Next, I want to shout out to the Benfica boys. They were absolutely huge last night, wasn't it? All these people with Benfica connections. First of all, I'm going to start off with Ederson. Ederson, absolutely massive at the end there. Genuinely a huge save. That could have shifted the balance of this tie hugely, but at the end he stood up after a Rodri mistake and made an absolute monstrous save. It wasn't like a world-class save, but the importance of it and the alertness, given the fact that the game was over literally seconds later, I'm not even kidding, literally blew his whistle after that, the referee. That could have been a bad moment for us, and Ederson could have been switched off. And he could have been not alert and they could have scored there. But he wasn't. He was great. As was Joao Cancelo, the Benfica boy, number 2. Joao Cancelo there with that pass over at Benfica. An ex-academy player alongside Bernardo, we'll get onto in a second. Cancelo last night, absolutely mesmeric. Cancelo culture. I prescribe to that. I've also made some t-shirts, by the way. If you go on my Twitter or my YouTube community section, Cancelo culture t-shirts. I'll be having one next week. It'll be coming hopefully to your wardrobe soon. It's quality. Go check it out. There'll be a link in the comments as well. But Cancelo was brilliant yesterday. Assists, pre-assist and an assist once again. But he was basically creating everything for us over on that left-hand side. And was just what a quality player he is. And once again, Bernardo as well, man. I'm loving Bernardo's return to form. It's just absolutely wonderful stuff. I mean, a goal and then an actual assist as well. Almost identical movements as well. And Bernardo, once again, he's showing that why you don't give up on players. Some people had given up on him last year. But Bernardo, Cancelo, Ederson, the Benfica boys are doing as good. Can we sign more players from Benfica? Maybe it's why we should sign Darwin Núñez, because that Benfica connection, it's absolutely wonderful. Thirdly, I'd like to talk about wastefulness, unfortunately, because as good as last night was, and it was a good performance overall, we were still goddamn wasteful in front of goal, which is frustrating, and Guardiola was frustrated about it, and Guardiola rightfully was gesticulating on the sidelines, and he rightfully was moaning about wastefulness, because we have to be better in front of goal, because what's annoying is that it should be job done, but it isn't job done right now. It's very much like, oh, job kind of nearly done. And once again, I mean, a couple of players had poor games. I'd say Sterling genuinely had a poor game. I mean, poor games are relatively rare for this Manchester City side, but unfortunately he was pretty poor yesterday. Jesus scored a good goal. I am a big Jesus fan, and I will defend him till the cows come home because he's a good player, Jesus. But he obviously was a little bit kind of faffy in front of goal at one point as well, which is a kind of story of Manchester City in the Champions League sometimes. And I think Guardiola was frustrated because we could have killed the game off there and then, which would have demoralised Monchengladbach and would have given us that massive, even just a third. A third makes a massive difference, you know, because Monchengladbach got to go to the Etihad and score 3 goals against our defence. 2's difficult, very difficult. 3 seems insurmountable with our defence. So we've got that wastefulness issue. And of course, we saw it famously with Sterling against Lyon, which probably was the tipping point of that tie. And it's something that we've seen a lot in the Champions League in general, and with Manchester City. We have to change it. We simply have to change it. We have to be killers and we have to be ruthless. And so it's not really something that we've learned, but I guess we learned that it's still there in the Champions League, and we've still got that tendency. And you can see why Guardiola was so frustrated. We have to make sure we get back on track in front of goal, because we can't miss those kind of chances. It could mean everything. It could make the difference between City going out, and that would be terrible. Fourth, I want to talk about the necessary rotation, because Pep's got some big, serious selection headaches there. This squad is getting full, which is great, but it is getting full. And Pep has got a very difficult balancing act. I mean, we've got a situation where usually we'd be throwing someone like Aguero back into the team, wouldn't we? But or even Kevin De Bruyne, you know, or even Laporte. But right now we've got players who are absolute quality, but we don't necessarily need them in this moment. Laporte was excellent last night. I thought genuinely was very, very good, Laporte. Rock solid, and as we know he can be, Laporte is a fantastic player. But I honestly genuinely get the impression, as well as rotation and fitness, because that is necessary too, but I do get the impression that he's trying to keep players happy because he has to. I mean, that is part of being a manager. You have to manage expectations. You have to keep them all happy. You can't leave Laporte on the bench all the time. You can't leave Walker on the bench all the time. As much as you probably wants to play Stones and Diaz, and I reckon he does because it's going so well. But having said that, he probably wants to play Laporte as well. But I do think there's an element, sometimes he probably just stick to what he knows, but he's like, well, I've got to keep him happy, I've got to keep him happy, I've got to keep him happy. It's just a very difficult thing, and Pep now has a very difficult situation where, I know it's one of those like, oh, tiny violin, woe is Manchester City, only got 20 world-class players. I get it. I mean, I'm not expecting any fans of other teams to feel sorry for us. I'm just raising this as a point where it's definitely something to discuss, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it affects our shape and rhythm, because especially at the back, the common idea is that consistency at the back line is very useful. So it'd be interesting to see how this rotating free centre-back thing, which we're seeing signs of at the moment, because that Diaz and Stones thing isn't quite as locked down as it once was at the moment. We've seen Stones with Laporte, we've seen Diaz with Laporte, we are seeing a little bit of rotation here and there, so it's going to be interesting to see how that affects our consistency. So far, life looks good, but we've got some difficult decisions coming up. De Bruyne, you can't leave him on the bench. You can't. I know he's rusty at the moment, but you can't leave De Bruyne on the bench. And then do you drop Foden? That would be harsh. Do you drop Bernardo? Do you drop Sterling? Jesus, not play a striker, not play Aguero? I do not envy Pep. But on to the final point for this video. Was there signs last night of a new Pep Guardiola? Now, obviously, what I'm referring to here is Pep Guardiola's reputation in the Champions League. It's something I actually prescribe to personally. I mean, I know people disagree on this, and you're entitled to disagree. I'm not saying you're wrong. We all have our own opinions. We can't prove they're right either. It's all subjective, because in football, you can't really prove anything's right in general. But I wonder if Pep kept it a lot more simple than he would usually do. I mean, admittedly, it may change if we get through this round and get something more difficult in the next round or something like that. But to me, it was notable in the press conference when Guardiola said he's going to keep it, going to play how we've been playing recently, basically. And he talked about, I can't remember the exact words, but in other words, he said we're not going to make any significant tactical changes, which I thought was really interesting, because obviously last season the discussion, and I do remember there were rumours coming from the dressing room that the tactical changes before the Lyon game unsettled the squad, and there was a lot of talk about how that wasn't really the best choice at the time, that we should have stuck to the usual shape. Whether that's true or not, I think it's fair to say that Guardiola's reputation of a master tweaker in the Champions League is one that has some justification. Now, and last night, I was expecting to see something absolutely crazy. And what we got really was kind of just a standard, in a nice way, kind of boring formation. You know, it's just Manchester City being a Manchester City thing. There was maybe some personnel changes, but overall the shape and the system was pretty much as we come to expect recently. We had one kind of defender sitting more alongside the centre backs, Walker in this instance, and we had one midfielder, one defender going into midfield, Cancelo as he always does. Then we basically had Jesus kind of playing as a false nine as well as playing a striker, actually. But then just Bernardo, Rodri, Gundogan. It was kind of pretty much as you were, really. And it was interesting to see Guardiola go for that. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, but for Guardiola, it is in the Champions League. Is this a new Pep, man? Is this a more pragmatic Pep? The point where he's not going to try anything crazy and he's going to trust in the players. I guess time will tell, but I thought it was particularly notable that yesterday, nothing changed, which was very interesting given it was the Champions League. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this episode of 5 Things Learned. Go check out some of the fan cams I did last night, by the way. I had Kieran, one of my members, absolute legend. I'm going to be inviting members and Patreon members who are in the Slack group on for a chat every now and then, and Alex from Blooming Rising and Joe Butterfield from the 9320 pod. Go and let me know what you reckon of those videos as well. Thank you to all the patrons currently scrolling down the side of the screen. Big love to every single one of you. So like, comment, subscribe. You're all absolute heroes. Thank you very, very much. See you in a bit.